TRW here. So I received this game recently. I think it's pronounced Montmirail and Beauchamp's 1814. Subtitled The Guard Leads the Attack. This is from the Days of Glory series by Cannons and Carton, designed by Frederick Bay. So having received this recently, got me thinking again about this Days of Glory system. I took a good look at this edition in the series, and well, basically I wound up thinking, you know what, I want to try to pick up where I left off. So I've never completed even come close to completing a Days of Glory game, and I don't think I've really gotten the rules. I guess I've just tried them a bit here and there, really. So yeah, so I broke out all my games in the series. I have like 5 or 6. I have the Aspirin and Essling game, I have the Berezina game, and I have the Fuentes de Onoro game. So I have a handful of them, and broke them out and was looking over the different scenarios. And I was looking for one that looked like a good intro scenario, and actually, not at all surprisingly, I found myself coming right back to the Fuentes de Onoro game, which I think is where I tried to get into the system before. So I'm back, and I do want to make more progress. I'm really not into Napoleonic battles at this high level. I would much rather be at a much lower, more detailed, gritty, on the ground level, but this is supposed to be a well-developed system, so I do appreciate that. So I'm really exploring the system and the design, not so much even the battle, because again, if I want to look at the battle, I want to be at a way more zoomed in scale and scope. Yeah, so I will be using these rules. I will be using the Montmirail and Beauchamp's 1814 rules, which I think is the Days of Glory 1814 version, because it does specify, if I remember correctly, use the latest series rules, and the latest series rules that you have should be usable with all earlier editions in the series. So even though, so even though I'm playing I will be playing an earlier version of the game. I should be playing El Badon 1811 from the Fuentes de Onoro 1811 game. I'm going to be using the Montmirail and Beauchamp's 1814 rules, but again, that should be completely transparent to the player. Okay, so yeah, so let's start with taking a look at the system as it presents itself. So again, this is a series. I would say probably dozens of battles have been done in this series. This is either battalion, regiment, or brigade scale, depending, I think, on the battle. So the strength points have a variable scale as well, as you would expect. I think there's a variable time scale as well, and I think ground scale as well. So I don't know what else to say, but basically, depending on the battle, your units are battalions, regiments, demi-brigades, or brigades. Terrain is done in, a wonderful Victus style. training is done properly. So let's talk about combat units. So units have a name and sometimes an indication of its place in the chain of command. Sometimes you're given the corps it belongs to. Here in this example we have an Infanteria 21. The color code, this is part of the green formation. That's the color stripe behind the unit name. There's a type. This is obviously infantry with the infantry figure there. But in the game, we're talking infantry, or cavalry, and artillery, as you would expect. Sometimes there's a specific indicator, L for heavy cavalry, for example. Formation to which it belongs for activation. Again, that in this case would be the green stripe there. A number of strength points. Fire strength for artillery based on the number of men or guns in the unit. So the strength is lower left, 4 in this case, that's strength points. A cohesion rating based on the unit's ability to sustain combat. That's the middle lower number in the colored box, so 5 in this case. So this unit has a cohesion of 5. Then we have an engagement rating based on its ability to engage in shock combat on its own. That's the smaller number. In the upper right, 3 in this case. Then we have a movement rating expressed in movement points or movement allowance, as you would expect in the lower right. A 4, a white 4 in this case. All combat units have 2 sides. There's a front representing the unit in good order with full capabilities. And you flip it over to its backside. It represents its disordered state with reduced capabilities. It's a 10-sided die in this game. 0 is, when you roll a 0, it is a 0, not a 10. Cohesion tests, I guess this is something, actually we have 2 recurring tests, or call them principal tests. There's a cohesion test and an engagement test. So for a cohesion test, the player rolls a 1d10 and applies modifiers, if any, if the result is less than or equal to the unit's cohesion rating. So here we rolled a 5, and the Infanteria 21's cohesion is 5. The unit passes the test. If the result is higher, the unit fails. Then we have an engagement test. It's the same thing, but using the unit's engagement rating. Okay, so this unit has a 3, which is relatively low, but we see here to the British side, 2 cavalry units, they have a much higher engagement rating of 6 there. Alright, so the game turn. It's only 1 game turn for the 2 players. We're going to be alternating by drawing activation markers. So this is a kind of chit pull system, but it's not completely straightforward. It's not a straightforward and simple chit pull. It has some twist to it. But let's talk about the orders phase. So at the start of the game turn. Alright, so again, we're talking here about the overall game turn. We're starting with the first game turn of this scenario, which corresponds to the 1000 hours of the battle. So again, the game turn overall, we have a step A, orders phase. Players place the cams in a cup. Cams is CAM, is combined activation marker. In fact, I looked at all the activation markers for this battle. I don't see any combined activation marker. They're all ordinary activation markers. Remove reinforce or reinforcement markers from the units as necessary. This is a reinforcement marker. So you remove those from units that you, let's see, remove them from units as necessary, and choose the formations which will receive orders for the turn. Okay, so very first thing is we do have to actually talk about orders and how we, basically issue orders. Okay, again, all about orders here. If the units of a single formation are too widely dispersed, so right now let's look. The 11th Light Dragoons and the 1st KGL Hussars here are of the same formation because they have the same purple background to their unit names. If they're too widely dispersed, they must form several tactical groups that will have to have more than one order to activate them all. Okay, tactical groups are determined during the orders phase, phase A, that's where we are right now, of each turn for the entire turn. Okay, a tactical group consists of all units of a single formation which are within 2 hexes of one another. Thus, one unit must be within 2 hexes of another unit in the same formation, etc., etc. You can chain as much as you want. You can chain as much as you want up to the whole formation or every unit in the formation. On the other hand, a unit located farther than 2 hexes from all other units of the formation is considered as an autonomous tactical group by itself for receiving orders. So hypothetically, like this would be one tactical group, this would be another tactical group. Okay. Clarification: when a formation's action marker, so let's see, what's an example here? Yeah, okay, so if this unit's action marker, activation marker, right here, same color, looks a little different, but same color. So when the formation's action marker is drawn from the cup, all units of the tactical groups belonging to that formation are activated simultaneously in whatever order the owning player wishes. Okay. Allocation of orders. At the beginning of each turn, phase A, that's where we're at now, the 2 players select among their respective tactical groups those which will receive orders and will be considered with orders from headquarters or received orders. So that is this, they will be marked like this, with orders. And you just put this on one unit of the tactical group. And the number of orders is limited by the order rating of each commander-in-chief. Okay, so who is our commander-in-chief? I guess it must be Picton over here, and his orders rating is it's the colored box, so it's the 1 in the box there. So we'll move the action marker. Okay, so for example, we would say this unit is going to have orders. I don't know. I'm not sure I'm doing this right yet, but I'm going to talk it through. So the British side here, I'm assuming Commander-in-Chief is Picton. Picton has an orders rating of 1. All right, so players have 1 or more Commander-in-Chief. Each Commander-in-Chief possesses 3 characteristics. All right, let's talk about that. So again, each Commander-in-Chief possesses 3 characteristics: a die roll modifier for initiative tests, for determining strategic initiative. That's the first number on the lower left, 1 for Picton here in this example. In orders rating, that's the 1 in the red box in the middle right, and then a command range, not a movement allowance. The 4 in the lower left is not a move, obviously. As you might expect, commanders have a set movement allowance, but the 4 here is his command range, expressed in hexes. This is important. This range is unaffected by any restrictions, including impassable terrain, enemy units, and enemy Zocs. So in this game, this command range 4 in Picton's case, that is a true helicopter type range, or zone around him. Commanders-in-Chief may move. Okay, talk about that later. They move. They have 7 movement points assigned to them. All right, so we go back to the allocation of orders. So that's your Commander-in-Chief. All tactical groups which do not receive orders are without orders from headquarters, abbreviated no orders, to mark their choices secretly. So I'm just talking about the rules here. I'm not. Later I'll try to correct myself to the scenario if there's something unusual, but just to pick it up, this is Oh, actually, so let's look at the, yeah, see, these guys are the green formation. I know these artillery units are from another formation, but for this scenario, they are attached to this formation. I know that. So these guys can't be part of the same tactical group because they're not part of the same formation. Again, I'm thinking. So we say this, as a matter of fact, let's change this. Let's say they're with orders, and these guys are without orders. And let's just say these guys are without orders. I'm not sure if that applies because you got the leader right there, but let's just go with that for now. Then what the rules are saying is you're going to flip these over to hide them from the other player. So this is one, I will say this is probably one good part of the actual game for face-to-face play is the hidden aspect there. So they're all, the hidden sides are up. That's the back side of the counters. To mark their choices secretly, the players place the received orders marker or a no orders marker face down on any unit of each tactical group in play. In order to be placed in received order status, okay, this is important, a tactical group must have at least one of its units within the command range of the commander-in-chief. So we talked about that before. So actually, he's going to be out of range, isn't he? So obviously 4. All right, so that is his. So that is his. So actually, 1, 2, 3, 4. So actually, he's out of. So that's. So he cannot be with orders because he's not within the range. I'll just swap those. All right. All right. So not within command range of Picton there. Okay, and then we got a couple of examples. They're actually fairly good examples. Okay, effective orders and activations. Okay, so at this point, now I'm going to, these are all the normal rules. The next part of this section would be what defines units with orders and what defines units without orders. Basically, you got full capability of units with orders and, you know, roughly half capabilities with no orders. But I'm going from the general rules back to the scenario-specific rules and the battle rules because I think there are a number of particulars that you do need to pay attention to. So going back to the battle rules, for all El Badon scenarios, okay, the 2 Portuguese artillery units. All right, let's look at all these. Like this is like I just said, but here's the rule laid out. Preto and Sequeira artillery. So the 2 Portuguese artillery units, Preto and Sequeira, are attached to the formation of Picton, to Picton's formation. Again, that's the green formation there, and there's Picton. The formation Montbrun, okay. So here off map right now is the French formation Montbrun. Montbrun is made up of 4 counters. You have 3 6 dragoons. You have 10 11 dragoons. You have 15 25 dragoons, and you have Montbrun artillery. Okay, so that is that's clarifying that. Then we have the 3 units of Fournier's brigade. The 3 units of Fournier's brigade of 9th Corps. Okay, where are they? Where are they? Where are they? Seventh, yeah, Chasseur. Here they are. All right. So what they're telling you here is this is Fournier's brigade of 9th Corps, 7th, 13th, and 20th Chasseurs. Constitute an independent formation activated by the AM's activation markers of Delon, 9th Corps. That is, oh, okay. Okay, that works. Play Derloon's 9th Corps activation marker. That's what it says. I'm not sure what the significance of being an independent formation is, other than, I mean, the practical thing is the leader by a color, the pink there, is not on the map. So that, I believe that's the significance of that. Is that? Oh, yeah, actually, maybe I shouldn't put it that way. Forget what I just said. Another way to say it is those 3 units, those 3 chasseur units, I guess another way to put it, are attached to Derloon. Anyways, we'll see how that plays out. But these are the specific, scenario-specific rules for formations and tactical groups that you need to play the game. Part of this was helping in actually setting this up to understand all this stuff. But that's it. Now the French players automatically going to have the strategic initiative on the first turn of the game, so we'll get to that. And I guess that's about it. Now in practice, we'll figure out how everybody gets activated.